In case there was any doubt about the real reason that Trump's FCC went after Jimmy Kimmel, you don't even have to guess, because Donald Trump just came out and confessed.
That's something that should be talked about for licensing, too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. Licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
In other words, this wasn't about Kimmel's comments on air, which, by the way, were completely innocuous, but rather that Donald Trump has a broader agenda of suppressing any coverage critical of Trump. Quote, all they do is hit Trump. This is about heaping praise onto an aspiring autocrat, all because he's too fragile to shoulder any criticism whatsoever. And this has become a recurring theme. Donald Trump also got Stephen Colbert canceled just weeks ago by leaning on CBS as their parent company Paramount was seeking a merger with Skydance. Trump sued ABC News, which settled, sued 60 Minutes, which settled, sued Meta, which settled. He is currently suing the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Simon & Schuster. He barred the Associated Press from the press briefing room. He even barred the Australian broadcasting company ABC from his UK press conference this week because the reporter dared ask a critical question of him. Anyone who touted Trump as some champion of free speech is either a liar or a fool. In fact, it's not just Trump who's too ham-handed to understand how to not confess to the reality of what happened here. Here's FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who has been beyond overt in giving the whole game away. This is what he said just prior to Kimmel's cancellation.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion.
Think about that language for a second. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. That's not regulatory oversight. That is extortion, plain and simple. It is a federal official threatening a media company with government retaliation unless they silence a critic of dear leader. And that's exactly what ABC did, which raises the question, is this constitutional? And the answer is absolutely not. Just last year, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that, quote, government officials cannot attempt to coerce private companies in order to punish or suppress views that the government disfavors. That is a ruling wherein everyone from Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito agreed with Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. When you've got the White House running far to the right of this U.S. Supreme Court, you might have lost the plot. But let's be clear here. While Donald Trump is a despot and his acolytes like Brendan Carr are some of the most vile human beings to ever ascend to the highest ranks of the U.S. government, and they deserve all the scorn in the world for their horrific behavior, this administration will not feel as emboldened as they do without the cooperation and buy-in from these corporations that are so fucking focused on money and shareholder value that they will sacrifice everything in pursuit of it. Let's not forget the backstory behind the Kimmel cancellation. Nexstar Media Group is the largest provider of local news in the country, and they operate ABC affiliate stations in dozens of markets across the U.S. Nexstar is right now seeking FCC approval for a $6.2 billion merger with a company called Tegna. At the same time, you've got the federal government demanding ransom for everything and making it perfectly clear where they stand on these late-night hosts who dare criticize dear leader. In fact, Donald Trump himself literally posted on the Truth Social back when Colbert got canceled, quote, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. And guess what? That is exactly what happened. And because these companies like Nexstar and ABC and CBS and Paramount and Washington Post and Meta are all so over-leveraged and so desperate to grab even more cash, they continue to capitulate to Trump. And the cost of that is that we all are now less safe because we all now live in a country wherein the president feels emboldened to commit more of these acts. ABC's decision to pull Kimmel's show doesn't just hurt Jimmy Kimmel. It gives Donald Trump carte blanche in his mind to feel that this autocratic behavior is acceptable. It hurts all of us. ABC and these other outlets are hurting all of us, all because they need another buck. Because God forbid they don't focus solely on more money, more growth, more shareholder value. God forbid. To that end, I can promise you one thing from my part. I will never be bought. I will never stop speaking out. I am not owned by some money-grubbing corporate entity that needs something from the federal government. I'm 100% independent, and independent media clearly has never been more important than it is right now. So if you'd like to support my work, which is and always will be completely free, please subscribe to this channel. And I hope the rest of the media outlets across this country understand that by capitulating to Trump, you are not placating him. You're just showing him that you're weak. You're showing him that you can be extorted. You are showing him that if and when he wants to do this again, and I can assure you he will do this again, that he'll be able to do it without a problem. And I can assure you he isn't stopping with Kimmel. Just like he wasn't stopping with Colbert, just like he wasn't stopping with ABC News and CBS and the New York Times and 60 Minutes. All of these cowardly media conglomerates are not understanding that you do not buy Trump off. You buy yourself just a little bit of time. That's it. And eventually, sure as shit, he'll come back because he knows that you are weak and you stand for nothing. And the only thing more pathetic than bowing down to this thin-skinned autocrat is your collective inability to recognize that he will never be satisfied. Trump is basically a shark preying on you, and you cut off your arm to feed it to him, thinking that he'll be full. And eventually he comes back for the next arm, and then your leg, and then your other leg, and then the rest of your body. And where did that bargain leave you? It left you with nothing. Prey to a predator who smelled blood in the water because you were too stupid, too short-sighted to protect yourself when you had the chance. So my advice to the rest of the media, wake the fuck up. Recognize the moment that we're in, and for fuck's sake, stand for something. Stand for anything. Anything that isn't money. I am so fucking tired of watching every trusted voice in this country expose themselves as a money-starved leech who will sell out anything and everything if it means they can make another buck. ABC should know that we won't forget. On a personal note, I've canceled my Hulu Disney package. They might be desperate to pander to Trump so they can pad their bottom line, but it works both ways. And it's hard to succeed in business without customers. If ABC won't show some spine, then we will, because our money is just as green as everybody else's. And in the meantime, I need to ask one more thing of everybody watching. Do not disengage. The Trump administration wants you to feel helpless, wants you to feel despairing, wants you to feel small. But remember, Trump wouldn't be so focused on suppressing speech from individuals if it wasn't so powerful. So do not quiet down. Do not obey in advance. Do not reward him by giving him exactly what he wants. Speak up, be as loud as possible, spend your money wisely and appropriately, and use it as a weapon. Talk to your circles of people. Let these big-moneyed interests know that capitulate to Donald Trump that there is a cost. There is a cost of doing business with him. And let this administration know that you're awake, you're energized, and you're engaged. And when it's time to take to the streets, bring 10 people. When it's time to campaign, bring 20 people. When it's time to vote, bring 30 people. The window to save this democracy is closing, but I will be damned if we don't go down without a fight. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.